MSNBC's Joy Reid actually suggested that Attorney General William Barr might be covering up Epstein's death at Trump's behest because Trump, of course, was friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
The investigation of Epstein's death now falls into the hands of William Barr, Donald Trump's consigliere and attorney general, who refused to recuse himself on the Epstein case despite his association with a law firm once involved with Epstein, whose father once hired Jeffrey Epstein as a teacher with neither experience nor degree, and whose prime directive is to protect Donald Trump, no matter what.
Okay, so there she is putting out her own conspiracy theory. Then President Trump, in his own inimitable fashion, decided, it'd be a great idea. I'm going to retweet whatever I feel like, and I feel like retweeting a wild conspiracy theory. So he retweeted a tweet from a guy named Terrence Williams on Twitter, and the tweet says, died of suicide on 24/7 suicide watch? Yeah, right. How does that happen? Hashtag Jeffrey Epstein had information on Bill Clinton, and now he's dead. I see Trump body count trending, but we know who did this. Retweet if you're not surprised. Hashtag Epstein suicide, hashtag Clinton body count, hashtag Clinton crime family. And then he released a little video discussing why he thought that the Clintons had murdered Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this has been a long-standing meme on the right, is that the Clintons routinely murder their political opponents. Not a lot of evidence to suggest that that is true, despite widespread speculation about characters, including Vince Foster, for example. President Trump tweeted that out, and that was awkward. Here's a little bit of that Terrence Williams video in which he talks about all of this.
Shaking my head. I'm not surprised. I told y'all last month this was going to happen, but didn't nobody want to listen to me. But then guess what? Next month he dead. And you know what? All the liberals were calling me a conspiracy theorist, saying, Terrence, you coming up with crazy conspiracies and you need to be banned from Twitter. And then guess what? The man really ended up dead. And you know what? He had information on the Clintons, and the man ended up dead.
Okay, that's enough of that. So Trump actually retweeted that. Now, number one, this wasn't the Clintons, okay? As we will see, this is wild incompetence by jail officers, which frankly is not all that uncommon. I mean, it is unfortunate truth of life that human beings are wildly incompetent generally. And it is also another unfortunate truth that treatment in American prisons, it depends on the prison, but many prisons are horribly run. The guards don't do their jobs to the apex of their abilities. They feel like they're dealing with criminals, and therefore they sort of slack off a bit. That's not an indictment of all prison officers by any measure. A lot of prison officers, probably the vast majority of prison officers, do their job with honor and diligence, but there are going to be some who do not, obviously. And this one falls under Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malevolence that which you can attribute to human stupidity. And while this all looks very suspicious, because obviously Epstein was the most watched federal prisoner in America, still, I am much more inclined to chalk this up to prison guards didn't do their job than Bill and Hillary Clinton sneaked somebody into Jeffrey Epstein's cell to kill him in his cell. I mean, the lady couldn't even find Wisconsin on a map. I don't think that this has to do with Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton deciding that it's time for Jeffrey Epstein to be offed. Why wouldn't they off him before he was arrested? I mean, the whole thing doesn't make any sense. And as it turns out, there's lots of evidence of incompetence here. Apparently, according to the Associated Press, guards on Jeffrey Epstein's unit were working extreme overtime shifts to make up for staffing shortages the morning of his apparent suicide, a person familiar with the jail's operations told the Associated Press. The person said that the Metropolitan Correctional Center's special housing unit was staffed with one guard working a fifth straight day of overtime and another who was working mandatory overtime. The person wasn't authorized to discuss jail operations publicly, spoke Sunday on the condition of anonymity. Epstein's abrupt death cuts short a criminal prosecution that could have pulled back the curtain on the inner workings of a high-flying financier with connections to celebrities and presidents. The jail staff failed to follow protocols leading up to Epstein's death, according to a report from the New York Times, deepening the fallout from what led to his apparent suicide. The New York Times reports that Epstein was supposed to have been checked by two guards in the protective housing unit every 30 minutes. He was alone in a cell just 11 days after he'd been taken off suicide watch. That was not supposed to happen. He was supposed to have somebody else in the cell with him. The procedure of him being checked every 30 minutes was not followed that night. Because Epstein may have tried to commit suicide 3 weeks earlier, obviously, that other inmate was supposed to be in there, but the jail recently transferred his cellmate and allowed Epstein to be housed alone, a decision that also violated the jail's procedures. Attorney General William Barr was fighting mad about that today as well. He suggested that there could be prosecution on the table for negligence for some of the people who were associated with all of this. In addition, according to the UK Daily Mail, every 15 minutes, guards are required to make another check on prisoners who are on suicide watch The decision to remove Epstein from Suicide Watch has both baffled former wardens and veterans of the federal prison system alike. As Matt Walsh of Daily Wire pointed out, Suicide Watch is not supposed to be taken quite so literally. You're not actually supposed to watch while the person commits suicide. So well done, everybody